It started with the humblest of beginnings, old beloved College on the Hill, a solitary building perched atop the high ground north of town. The efforts to turn the dream of South Dakota State into reality clearly were tenuous at best. Many points along the way left the process open to failure. Had it not been for a few determined visionaries who were willing to take risks, history as we know it easily could have played out differently. It was an inauspicious start at the Dakota Agricultural College. Financial and political struggles were emblematic of the early stages. Yet whenever conflict or controversy arose, putting higher education in jeopardy, Brookings citizens characteristically rallied around the cause for the greater good. They risked and sacrificed, failed and thrived, and had they not dared to dream, those 80 acres on the northeast side of Brookings might never have given birth to the dreams of countless others. Do you suppose they could have imagined what that college on the hill would become? One of our early alums paid for our iconic campanile, a call to the sons and daughters of the state to afford themselves of the educational opportunities made possible by the generosity of the people of the state. And they came from the Sioux and Missouri, the Cheyenne and the Jim, the pine-clad peaks of the Black Hills, brimful of vigor and vim. Do you think Charles Coughlin imagined what we would become? A place that's produced 88,000 graduates. Leaders in business and industry, entrepreneurs. An innovator whose discovery fed tens of millions. A Nobel Prize winner, a Medal of Honor recipient. Division I athletics, All-Americans, a current Hall of Famer, and a future one. Accredited programs that rank among the nation's best. And all because 135 years ago, townspeople pitched in to assemble $600 to buy a tract of land and entrusted succeeding generations to build upon what they started, and eventually handed it off to our generation, one that's inherited and embraced both the opportunities and the responsibilities. Can we imagine what our SDSU will one day become?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chair of the Council of Trustees, Mary Howard.
Good evening, everyone. This is awesome. What an amazing evening that we're going to have tonight. As an 18-year-old from a small town of Hendricks, Minnesota, walking out of this campus in 1980, I could never have imagined that our university would look the way it does today. Nor could have I imagined being in this position tonight and having the utmost honor to serve as chair of the SDSU Board of Governors. But as that opening shows that we just watched, none of us should be surprised. SDSU is the beneficiary of generations of visionaries and dreamers with imagination and a determined spirit. Think of the political will of territorial legislator John O'Brien Scobie and the faith and generosity shown by this community in the late 1800s to give our start. Fortunately, we have not stopped dreaming and imagining since. 7 months ago, during his inaugural address in Sylvan Theater, our president, Barry Dunn, shared this quote from Einstein. "Logic will get you from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere." President Dunn's leadership and his emphasis on the term imagination was an inspiration for tonight's donor celebration. 40 years ago, President Sherwood Berg began discussions on campus about the need for a performing arts facility and theater. He did it in the face of tough financial and political climate. I suspect no one in that process expected that it would be easy or quick. But President Berg and others didn't let those circumstances stop them from imagining the possibilities. It took 30 years, but in 2003, the Performing Arts Center was dedicated. And tomorrow, we celebrate the groundbreaking of a spectacular expansion to that facility. This $50 million expansion, in many ways, fulfills that dream being formed more than 4 decades ago. It has been a team effort, though, to bring us to this point. It includes $13 million contributed by students, $6 million from the city of Brookings, $6 million from the university, and $23 million in gifts from individuals and corporate donors. We are on the verge of reaching our goal. We are about $1.5 million from our goal. And tonight, I have the pleasure of announcing some phenomenal news. And it is in line with that history of rallying around the cause for a greater good that was referenced in our opening. We have received a commitment for a $750,000 challenge that will match every new gift, dollar for dollar, to complete the fundraising for the Performing Arts Center. This amazing gift comes from a family-owned business that is 6 months older than the university itself, and one that has partnered with the university ever since. In fact, in the last decade alone, the family and their organization has provided nearly $11 million to support expansion and the development of South Dakota State University. So we want to thank First Bank and Trust and Van and Barb Fishback for generously providing the First Bank and Trust Performing Arts Center Matching Challenge. They have agreed to match up to $750,000 in gifts to this project. Thank you. This matching gift is on top of significant gifts from both the estate of Horace Fishback and from Bob and Pat Fishback. Thank you, Bob and Pat. And again, with all sincerity, thank you very much to the Fishbacks and First Bank and Trust for this very generous offer to finish the Performing Arts Center. But now it's up to us, all of us, to match that. We have a great deal to celebrate tomorrow, and we have a lot to celebrate tonight. There are 196 donors that have moved into a new lifetime giving society ranging from $25,000 to $5 million. And we have a couple more special announcements to make. We are very grateful for our loyal sponsors who made an additional commitment to support this extra special evening. Our platinum sponsors for this evening are David and Jill Bockorny and the Bockorny Group, Dana and LaDawn Dykehouse, First Bank and Trust, Jerry and Jolene Lohr, J. Lohr Vineyards and Wines. Our gold sponsors tonight are Aramark, Earth Bend, Bill and Kay Folkerts, Hank and Schultz Creative Services, and John and Wendy Brown and Stockwell Engineers. Our silver sponsors tonight are Keith and Glenn Bartels, Marcia and David Sheequin, Al and Sharon Tutlin, Jim and Penny Wooster, Ide Bailey, Innovative Systems, and Engage. Our brown sponsors tonight are Rita and Jim Edwards Jr., Steve and Michelle Erpenbach, Al and Irene Kurtenbach, Jim and Dorothy Morgan, Kay Cofield Pearson, Mike and Nancy Roberts, Kim Tyler and Joe Walker, General Myrna Williamson, Anderson Brothers, the City of Brookings, South Dakota Art Museum, Wood and Legs Brewery, and my husband David and I are proud to also be part of this group. Also, I'd like to give out a special thanks to Delta Chi Fraternity for providing the valet service, and to the Army and Air Force ROTC cadets for serving as our ushers this evening. Next, I'd like to take just a moment of special recognition of our current leaders. Please remain standing until all have been acknowledged. Our President, Barry Dunn, and First Lady, Jane Dunn. Working closely with the President, our new Provost, Dennis Hedge, and his wife, Susan. The President's executive team, and our deans and directors. We also tonight want to recognize some of our retired leaders of the university. President Emerita Peggy Miller, former President David Sheequin and his wife Marcia, Vice President Emerita Dr. Carol Peterson, our Students Association President Taylin Albright, and Vice President Allie Helms. Taylin is a senior from Howard, South Dakota, majoring in Human Development and Family Studies, while Allie is a pharmacy major from Waseca, Minnesota. We are joined by two members of the Board of Regents, Harvey Jewett and Pam Roberts, and they are joined by Executive Director Dr. Mike Rush and his wife, Linda. We are stronger because of our community partners. I'd ask Mayor-elect Keith Corbett and members of the City Council, County Commission, and School Board to please stand. We have two members of the state legislature with us here tonight, Senator Larry Tiedemann and Representative Tim Reed of Brookings. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare for our meal and tonight's program, I would ask for a moment of silence in honor of important members of the SDSU family that we have lost in recent months. We have lost two members of our Council of Trustees. We have lost Jake Kroll and Jerry Noctegal, and former trustee and longtime university leader, Dr. Mike Rieger. We are grateful for their service and the impact that they had on our organization and our university. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And to prepare for our meal, I would ask you to bow your heads. Dear God, thank you for the many blessings and gifts you have given all of us. Please bless this food, our fellowship, and our celebration of our donors and our university. Amen. Thank you, folks. Please enjoy your meal and the conversation. Our remarkable evening is just getting started.
Something is stirring, shifting ground, it's just begun. Edges are blurring all around, and yesterday is done. Feel the flow, hear what's happening, hear what's happening. Don't you know we're the movers and we're the shapers, we're the names in tomorrow's papers. Up to us, man, to show up. It's our time, breathe it in. Worlds to change and worlds to win. Our turn, we're what's new. Me and you, pal, me and you.
Feel how it quivers on the brink.
What?
Everything gives you the shivers, makes you think there's so much stuff to sing.
And you and me will be singing it like the birds. Me with music and you the words. Tell them things they don't know. Up to us, pal, to show up. Our time, breathe it in. Worlds to change and worlds to win. Our turn, we're what's new. Me and you, pal, me and you.
Feel the
Feel the flow, hear what's happening, we're what's happening. Long ago, all we had was that funny feeling, saying someday we'd send them reeling. Now it looks like we can.
someday just began.
Something is stirring, shifting ground, it's just begun. Edges are blurring all around, and yesterday is done.
Feel the flow, hear what's happening.
We're what's happening. Don't you know we're the movers and we're the shapers. We're the names in tomorrow's papers. Up to us now to show up. It's our time, breathe it in. Worlds to change and worlds to win. Our turn coming through. Me and you, pal, me and you. Years from now, we'll remember and we'll come back by the rooftop and hang a plaque. This is where we began, being what we can. It's our heads on the block. Give us room and start the clock. Our dreams coming true. Me and you, pal, me and you. Me and you, me and you. Me and you, me and you. Me and you, me and you. Me and you.
Ladies welcome the 20th President of South Dakota State University, Barry Dunn.
Well, thank you very much. The ones that need the applause, I think we should give our performers another round of applause. What an incredible performance. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. At this event just a year ago, I was introduced to you as the 20th President of South Dakota State. It's been an exciting, wonderful year for Jane and me. It was a beautiful summer and a glorious fall, with trips across South Dakota, meeting alums and new friends, Hobo Day, and the return of the Dakota Marker to its home. It was a winter of exciting basketball and wrestling, choral concerts, many academic highlights, and a trip to the big dance. I didn't know if I could take that 1-3-1 zone, but we got there. So, in a little over a week, we will be back here in Frost celebrating again as 2,500 of the best and brightest and nicest young people in the whole world walk across the stage at commencement, having earned their degrees and the opportunity to pursue their dreams. And in a few short months, we will return here for freshman convocation as we welcome 2,300 new freshmen to campus as the life cycle of our university begins anew. As I think about commencement and the young men and women who will walk across that stage, I reflect back to my inauguration and the comments I made about the responsibility we have to grow our institution and to meet the changing demographics and needs of tomorrow's students. The SDSU student of tomorrow will be different from the students of our past, and we will need your continued generosity and support to prepare them for the challenges of the dynamic world in which they will live. In 1921, my mother Sarah was born on the Rosebud Indian Reservation in south central South Dakota. My grandfather Claude was a member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe. My grandmother Hattie was from Nebraska. They lived on the treeless prairie and attempted to ranch. My mother was born in the humblest of conditions. My grandmother reminisced how grandfather would bring home supper and it was a prairie chicken or a grouse that he had shot. By 1930, as the ag economy sank into depression, and out of desperation, Grandpa and Grandma moved with my mother and her two brothers to Sioux City, Iowa. My grandfather worked nights in the stockyards, unloading train cars of thousands of cattle and hogs that had been brought to market. He did this in all types of conditions: rain, cold, snow, and the heat of summer. He worked Sundays too because he could earn an additional 5 cents an hour. As he told me his story, it brought forth the brutal images of the meatpacking industry described in the famous novel, The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. Since the earliest days of the cultural clash between European settlers and Native Americans, alcohol has been and continues to be a scourge for Native people. The tragic, crushing, ruinous damage to thousands and thousands of lives is incalculable. Sadly, my mother's family was not spared. 2 of her brothers were terrible alcoholics and chose to violently end their own lives, devastating my family. So out of poverty and darkness, and during the Great Depression, Somehow, some way, my little brown-eyed, brown-haired mother, all 5 foot 1 inch of her, found her way to Iowa State University. She was a member of Tri Delt sorority and had a wonderful time in college. She graduated in 4 years with a degree in home economics. After graduation, and to support the war effort, my mom took a Rosie the Riveter type job in Akron, Ohio, making tires for Army vehicles. The tires were bigger than she was. She had met my dad in college, and they were married after he got out of the Army Air Corps following World War II. Her education, experiences, and opportunities at our sister land-grant university lifted her up, along with our entire family. Her 4 children were the clear beneficiaries of her knowledge of nutrition and early childhood development. She was a wonderful mother. She woke up every morning on the sunny side of life. My brothers and sister and I have all lived healthy, successful lives. The only sad part is that her 11 grandchildren, all young adults now, barely knew her. I am certain that each of you have equally compelling stories of your families overcoming similar conditions as my own. However, keep in mind that when my mother Sarah was born, because she was Lakota, she wasn't a citizen of the United States. I understand that Sarah's accomplishments may seem modest in comparison to many in the audience tonight, but when that young woman from the Rosebud graduated from college, less than 4% of the women in America had a college degree, and she was one of them. She died from cancer much too young, near where she was born, on the treeless prairie of the beautiful Rosebud. On freshman move-in day 5 years ago, I was curbside at Hanson Hall, unloading cars and welcoming students and their families. As you may know, when a student arrives as a freshman at SDSU, they usually come with a car and a pickup, both packed to the hilt with boxes, various types of luggage, big screen TVs, futons, clothes on hangers and in baskets, and invariably, I've checked this out, this is scientifically verified, a Tupperware container of chocolate chip cookies from Grandma. And of course, there is an occasional horse trailer or even a U-Haul that I've unloaded. As you unload, a mound of possession builds, waiting to be hauled up to the assigned dorm room. The mood varies with a mixture of excitement and severe anxiety. Fathers mumbling about the amount of stuff, mothers busily asking no one in particular if a long list of items had been remembered or left behind, quickly concluding, oh, that's okay, we'll run to Walmart. At the same time, the overwhelmed 18-year-olds are wishing things would slow down and speed up at the same time. It's a wonderful mixture of leaving and arriving, of saying goodbye and hello, of old and new, happiness and sadness. At 8:15 that morning, a single car drove up. It was a modest sedan. I noticed it because as soon as it stopped, 4 doors flew open and the scene exploded with energy. People, seemingly all little girls, were everywhere. I introduced myself to the dad and met the student whose name was Addie Rojas. Her little sisters and cousins continued to buzz around the car, chattering about who knew what. Her mother was crying, literally, and her dad was bursting with pride, and Addie's smile was huge. The energy and excitement were palpable. The trunk was opened and we quickly unloaded the car. It was a modest amount of possessions, several boxes and a suitcase. Addie checked in, got the key, and we moved her into her room. I learned that Addie would be the first in her family to attend college. She was from Mountain Lake, Minnesota. Her dad had a Casey's General Store shirt on that morning. I later found out that he had worked all night, gotten off at 6 a.m., ran home, got the family and Addie's possessions together, loaded the car, and then drove her to college, arriving just after 8 a.m. Now, Mountain Lake is a 2-hour drive from Brookings. He could have gone home, gotten some rest, and arrived in Brookings by mid-afternoon. He could have brought Addie on Sunday, but her dad was so personally excited about taking his little girl to college, he couldn't wait. And I think Addie had something to do with it too. She was pretty excited. I was thrilled for her, but also concerned for her because of the contrast that was so evident that morning. A Hispanic girl of modest means moving into a dormitory of young people from a very different background than hers. I've made it a point to stay in contact with her during her time at SDSU. And I'm very happy and proud to report that Addie has done great. Her major is Ag Leadership. She's been a member of Ceres Fraternity. Addie has served as a freshman orientation leader in the summer. This last year, she worked 2 jobs, one as a student ambassador and one as a waitress at Applebee's. This last March, during spring break, Addie took a study abroad trip with 18 other students to South Africa. She will be graduating in a few days. I asked Addie, what has been the secret to your success here at SDSU? Her answer? First, the support she received from her fellow students and the faculty here at SDSU. The second, the scholarships she has received that made SDSU financially possible for her. When I asked Addie to describe SDSU in 3 words, she said, "My favorite place." For me, as she got out of the car, all 5 foot 1 inch of her, brown eyes and brown hair, I thought of my mother, who 75 years earlier had entered a land-grant university, all hope and smiles, just like Addie. It is a great story of perseverance and how access to public higher education can change someone's life. Now it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce you to Addie Rojas and her parents, Maria and Julian San Miguel. Addie represents the group of young people that I talked about in my inaugural address. The student body, as I said before this evening, at SDSU is changing and will look more and more like Addie and my mother, racially and ethnically diverse, in quest of the same thing as many of our parents and grandparents, as well as you and me, access to opportunity. In 1916, an 18-year-old South Dakota State College student named Edgar McFadden changed the course of human history. Born and raised on a homestead near Webster, South Dakota, Edgar had witnessed the annual destruction of his family's wheat crop by a plant disease called black stem rust. It reduced yields by 70%, impoverishing homesteaders across the Great Plains. As a student here in Brookings 101 years ago, Edgar made a cross of an ancient variety of a wheat-like plant that was resistant to the disease, but that had little production, with a modern variety. He made thousands and thousands of crosses with Thomas Edison-like determination. Finally, the result of his tireless effort was a single fertile seed. In 1934, while working as a USDA scientist, and from that single seed, Edgar released the first stem rust-resistant variety of wheat to the world, which he appropriately named Hope. It became extremely popular, and the trait was bred into other lines, and American farmers and consumers benefited. During the years of World War II, and because of Hope wheat, America produced bumper crops, which fed our country and our allies. In 1955, shortly before he died, and in recognition of his brilliant scientific discovery and its enormous impact on the world, McFadden was awarded the John Scott Medal. With this award, he joined a very distinguished elite group of scientists, including Madame Curie, Thomas Edison, the Wright brothers, and Nikola Tesla, and I could go on and on. There are three important things for you to remember about Edgar's work. First, given what we now know about molecular genetics, the cross he made was biologically impossible. Do you believe in miracles? Secondly, the genes that provided the disease-resistant remain in varieties of wheat today, benefiting all of us. And lastly, true to a land-grant mission, Edgar did not receive a single penny from his discovery. He literally gave hope to the world. In 2017, an estimated this year, 2.8 million students will graduate from college in the United States with bachelor's degrees. Only 260 will have on their resumes that they were recipients of the prestigious Goldwater Scholarship for Undergraduate Research. That is less than 1/1000%. But our own Andrew Foley from DeSmet, South Dakota, is one of that extremely elite group. He'll graduate with Addie, and Andrew will have his bachelor's degree in biology, a minor in chemistry, a perfect 4.0 GPA, and honors college distinction from the Van D. and Barbara B. Fishback Honors College. Andrew will enter medical school this fall. Sadly, he's going to the U, but he'll always have a home here. I hope he forgives me. We're very, very proud of him. Under the mentorship, I'll tell you about his research. Under the mentorship of Dr. Joyce Scaria from our Department of Veterinary and Biomedical Sciences, Andrew's innovative research is in the therapeutic treatment of intestinal diseases using microorganisms. The idea behind his work is that there are strains of helpful bacteria that will inhibit harmful disease-causing bacteria. Using ultra-modern scientific methods, Andrew carefully isolated 5 previously unknown bacterial species out of literally hundreds and hundreds of bacterial colonies. Sound like Edgar McFadden. The newly discovered microbes controlled the specific harmful bacteria that caused the disease he is studying. He is now working on the specific mode of action of how those good bugs fight the bad bugs. Think about it. Andrew is on the cutting edge of developing potential cures for disease without the use of classical antibiotics, which are becoming less effective each year. With Dr. Scaria, he has already co-authored 2 scientific manuscripts. Andrew Foley is bringing hope to the world. In addition, Andrew has been very busy at SDSU. He has served as a supplemental instructor for anatomy, as well as being selected from a pool of 350 students to serve as a human anatomy intern. He has also been a teaching assistant in advanced biology courses and tutored biology students. Andrew volunteers with Habitat for Humanity and the Red Cross Blood Drive. Of course he does. And Coach Stiglmeyer, his favorite thing at SDSU, Jackrabbits football. I asked Andrew what has been the secret to his success here at SDSU. His answer? First, access. Access to resources, to exceptional faculty, and to opportunity. Those are his words. Sound familiar? The second, the challenging academic environment. He found the environment here competitive, stimulating, and his classmates' success motivated and challenged him. Asked to describe SDSU in 3 words, Andrew's answer: comfortable, accommodating, and safe. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Andrew Foley and his parents, Matt and Linda. I have the best job in the world, don't I? But imagine with me for a moment that it's August 2025. A young woman from the Rosebud and a young man from Webster and another from DeSmet and a daughter of immigrants are coming to SDSU. Imagine them on freshman move-in day. Can you see them as they awkwardly meet their roommates in Schultz or perhaps Ben Rifle Hall? They're walking to class early one morning for Biology 151 in Rotunda D. After class, they are nervously working on an undergraduate research project like Andrew had in our new Animal Disease Research and Diagnostic Lab. It's Friday night and they are attending a wrestling match in a remodeled Frost Arena with supercharged Coach Bono willing his team to victory. Not hard to imagine, is it? Imagine them at Cubbies the following spring, watching NCAA basketball selection shows. Can you hear them cheering as our men's and women's basketball teams get 6 seeds in the national tournament? Soon they're getting off a plane, returning from a study abroad experience halfway around the world, both exhausted and exhilarated. Soon they are graduating with a degree from one of our 180 academic programs to become engineers, scientists, farmers, nurses, pharmacists, or teachers. The great speechwriter Peggy Noonan once said, "Children are the repositories of the greatness of a future age." Imagine for a minute the generations of children that await this place. Can you see them? They are your children. They are your grandchildren, nieces and nephews. They are the children of parents who didn't have the same opportunity many of us were blessed with to attend this very special place. Can you imagine the difference SDSU will make in their lives? Can you imagine the difference they will make in the world? Like alumni before them, they could become a United States senator, representative, or a governor, perhaps a Nobel laureate, a famous painter, musician, world-class athlete, or entrepreneur. They could be awarded the Medal of Honor. They could feed the world, or perhaps their community. They could save a life, perhaps your life, in a hospital or care facility. They are the sons and daughters of hope. As we look forward, please realize that South Dakota is the only state in the nation that doesn't provide a needs-based scholarship for students. In the highly competitive world of higher education, this is a serious challenge for our students, our university, and our state. For the past 10 years, we've made critical investments in the infrastructure of this university, and staying true to our commitment of continuous improvement, investments in facilities will continue, and we'll celebrate some of those tomorrow. But in my tenure as president, the big challenge we face will be student support in terms of scholarships. For many of us, our dreams came true here. As our students just beautifully sang, "Now it's our time." Generations of young people who need this very special place will need our help. Remember, children are the repositories of the greatness of a future age. I am serving as president of South Dakota State in honor of my mother, Sarah. I focus all my energy and efforts every day in service to our students like Addie and Andrew. I lead this university into the future with the imagination, dedication, and hope of Edgar McFadden. Thank you for the opportunity to serve our beloved South Dakota State University as its 20th president.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andy Fober and Steve Erpenbach.
As you can tell up there, Andy and I we punched out a little early today from the construction site to be able to join you here tonight.
Construction started on the Alumni Green last May, and we're within 5 weeks of completion.
So believe it or not, this has pretty much been our everyday workwear over this last year, whether it's rain, snow, cold.
Steve.
Monday through Friday,
Steve.
sometimes on Saturday.
Steve.
Yeah, Andy?
I told you they wouldn't buy it. We're journalism majors.
Right. In all seriousness, it has been a great partnership between our two organizations. The Alumni Green is an amazing project. We've worked in pretty close quarters over the last year, so we're ready for the construction to be over. We know the alumni staff are anxious to move into their new space.
And I noticed you have a countdown calendar in your office for June 1st.
Yeah, no comment on that. So, Andy and I are pleased to recognize this year's new Lifetime Giving Society members. Members of the SDSU Associates have lifetime gifts and commitments between $25,000 and $50,000. This year, we have 92 members that reached that threshold. We want to recognize those individuals and companies in attendance tonight, and we would ask them to stand and hold your applause till the end.
American Food Groups, LLC, represented by Dan Rentschler. Lyle J. and Patricia J. Anderson.
So for the announcement of this year's Philanthropic Family of the Year, I want to call upon one of our trustees, Kevin Roberts.
Thank you, Steve. It's a distinct honor for me to announce this year's Philanthropic Family of the Year. I'm forever connected to this award by virtue of both good timing and good genetics. This award was started in 2012, which was my final year as the foundation's chair. So that's the good timing part. The good genetics came into play the following year when my parents, Les and Wanda Roberts, were the second recipient of this award. My three siblings and I were raised by the best role models when it came to giving back and serving South Dakota State University. So I am very honored to be a part of one of the families to receive one of this wonderful honor. Our very first recipient was the Dale and Pat Larson family. The other honorees are the Bob and Pat Fishback and Van and Barb Fishback families, the Larry and Diane Ness family, and the Jean and Joanne Goodall family. It's my pleasure tonight to announce the 2017 SDSU Philanthropic Family of the Year, the Dwayne and Barbara Reed Harms family. One of the greatest rewards of serving SDSU is the relationships and the friendships that you get to establish. I was fortunate to serve with Dwayne on both the Council of Trustees and the Board of Governors. As a result, my wife Debbie and I had the opportunity to get to know Dwayne and Barb on a personal level. I admire the passion, the commitment, and the generosity that they have shown towards South Dakota State. Beyond that, I am most impressed by their humility. For all that they have done and for all that they continue to do, from scholarships to athletics, to the McCrory Gardens, to the Performing Arts Center, they prefer the spotlight get placed on others. In fact, when our board leadership selected them, some wondered if they would allow us to honor them in such a public way. We are very grateful that they did. We have focused a great deal tonight on the word imagination. It applies uniquely to the Harms family. There are many people that are responsible for the new Alumni Green project that is nearing completion. The list of donors to that project is approaching 800. But the idea had to come from somewhere. Perhaps more than anyone else, the beautiful new development there on the west side of campus is the product of Dwayne Harms' imagination. You see, it started in 2007 with a small dinner in the Woodbine Cottage with our then new president, David Shequin. Dwayne was advocating for a new president's home that would help better cultivate new supporters and donors that our university desperately needed. It eventually grew into a larger and more comprehensive vision. But President Shequin didn't disagree. He just acknowledged that there were other needs that needed to be addressed first. Dwayne understood that. He was patient, but he didn't give up the idea. At one point, he arranged a bus charter that took about a dozen people to another regional university to tour that president's home and alumni center. The idea simmered, and then Dwayne and Barb made the leadership gift. And Harms Oil added to that. And other Harms family friends were asked to join them. Today, because of that imagination and hard work, and because they have inspired others to be a part of it, we are literally weeks away from a project that will transform the west side of our campus. This honor tonight includes the Harms Oil family because that philanthropic spirit demonstrated by Dwayne and Barb carries through to their business. The city and our university are so fortunate that Dwayne and Barb chose Brookings to be their home more than 14 years ago. Please join me again in thanking Dwayne and Barb Reed Harms family as our 2017 Philanthropic Family of the Year.
At South Dakota State. While the organization's financial support has impacted facilities, research, and faculty, the leadership and advocacy of the Corn Utilization Council on behalf of the state's biggest industry might make an even bigger difference. The staff and members of this organization are often the voice and the champions for the important work being done at SDSU in support of agriculture. The Corn Utilization Council showed its leadership 7 years ago with a $2 million gift to create an endowed dean in the College of Agriculture and Biological Sciences, which not only provides annual financial resources, but also brings prestige to the leader of that college. The council is now leading the charge, both financially and through its advocacy, for a new precision agriculture facility. Those are just two examples of how the corn growers of South Dakota think big and impact big at SDSU. We are joined tonight by past and current leadership of the Corn Utilization Council Board, Doug and Kathy Noem, Keith Alverson, LaRon Krause, and Gary and Judy Duffy. Thank you so much for what your organization does. So let's thank those 196 new individuals and companies that have invested in South Dakota State and have reached a new Lifetime Giving Society. 196. Thank you. Now, we have asked Dana Dykhouse, a member of the Council of Trustees, to make one final very special announcement to help close our evening. Dana.
Well, good evening. What a wonderful evening. Congratulations and thank you to all of our donors and benefactors. Congratulations to the Harms family for that tremendous honor and all of your dedication and loyalty to SDSU. One more round of applause for all of our honorees tonight. I have had the great fortune over these past 25 years to have two great role models when it comes to philanthropy. The first is Denny Sanford, who has proven to all of us that one person's giving can inspire so many others to do the same. There's evidence of that inspiration around this campus, around the state, throughout the country, even throughout the world. Denny has famously said he wants to die broke. And every time I see him, I tell him SDSU can help him accomplish that goal. My second role model is Jerry Lohr, who has instilled in me from the first day I met him that you have to give first and then ask others to do the same. Jerry Lohr is more responsible for growing the culture of giving at South Dakota State than any other person. The evidence of his impact on that culture of giving beyond the Jerome J. Lohr College of Engineering is in the $450 million that has been gifted and committed to our foundation in just the past decade. It's reflected by the fact that we've had to move our annual donor celebration into a basketball arena. And in recent years, we have added 3 new Lifetime Giving Societies to keep pace with that extraordinary culture of giving that we have witnessed and that Jerry has helped grow. Well, it's time to add another. It's time to raise that bar even higher. On behalf of the Foundation's Board of Governors, I am pleased to announce that a new Lifetime Giving Society recognizing donors with cumulative giving and commitments of $20 million or more will be known as the Jerome J. Lohr Society. Jerry, thank you very much for your example, for your dedication, for your commitment, for your passion for this university, and for setting an example for all of us about how to give back to something as special as South Dakota State and how to ask others to do the same. The first recipients of the Jerome J. Lohr Society will be recognized at this event next year in just 12 months. If you think that $20 million hurdle is a little too high for you, Steve, we've arranged that for just over $1.6 million we can, per month, you can be there by next year. And as Jerry would say, we could automatically take that out of your checking account. You wouldn't even miss it. So it'll be no problem at all. Thank you, Jerry and Jolene, for what you do for South Dakota State. We want to close out this wonderful evening with another performance by the SDSU Statesmen and the Women's Choir.
It's been a long, dark night, and I've been waiting for the morning. It's been a long, hard fight, but I see a brand new day a-dawning. I've been looking for the sunshine, 'cause I ain't seen it in so long. Everything's gonna work out fine. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light. I can see